right, we're going to dive into this now. Enough of the pleasantries. I'm really excited for everybody to join. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. We're going to talk a little modern outbound. So Hannah, why don't you start with, I've got a good kind of list of questions that we put together. Maybe tell people a little bit about your experience, what you've been up to, and, you know, maybe just jump into some trends too. You know, tell me a little bit about, like, whenever you're working with clients and conversations you're having, you know, what have you seen like is working? What's been working less? You know, and let's just jump into it.
Yeah, sure. So just for context, so I'm Hannah Ajikawa, everyone. I'm the founder of a small consultancy called Growth Mode, and also work in partnership with Skaled. I've been in sales for about 13 years now, which is fun and games. I like to say that I'm part of the old school, because when I first got into tech sales, we used to send out the technology on discs. That was fun.
Oh, wow. Like, we're talking like the CDs.
Literally, we had a whole end-to-end logistics process that was pretty cool. Once you press sold, it was like an update, like a bit like when you're tracking DPD, right? With your parcels. So that was pretty cool. So I've been in tech sales my entire career, straight out of university. And more recently, I thought, you know what? When you step outside of an organization and you get to support more, firstly, and you also get an opportunity to work with organizations who take you on as a consultant, and actually they've made that decision, right, to take action to create change in their organization. And I find that quite exciting. So back to some of the things that you're mentioning, Jake, about trends and what I'm seeing at the moment. So if I think about the work that I'm doing with clients at the moment, so anything from pre-seed through to Series D, there's the same problem. Hey, we get some people's attention and then we lose them. We lose them after, you know, initial calls. We lose them once we show them a bit of the product, and things seem to fall off. And then you've got these kind of two opposing camps. You've got one camp where you've got research saying, hey, salespeople aren't hitting targets. We know that, right? We've seen the research from the likes of Salesforce, right? And then you've got on the other side, which kind of, I guess, perpetuates the problem, and buyers don't want to talk to you. You've got 44% of millennial buyers. They don't want to speak to, you know, salespeople at all. And then within the sales process, like end to end, we get, like, as salespeople, maybe 17 to 20% of the entire time throughout a buying journey with our prospects. So it's like we need to get creative now. We need to get creative with how we're doing outbound to try and break through the monotony, where we've got, like, you can have 20 meetings this week in the same seat. No more flights, no more train journeys, no more kind of breaking up the noise, where you can say, you know, you're in an airport, you know, throw out the odd little joke. You're literally like, my internet's low. That's kind of the only thing you say, right? To break the ice. Oh, can I hear you? Oh, you're on mute. So yeah.
You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on.
Yeah, you're on mute.
I can see it. I see it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't see you in the waiting room.
Yeah.
That's small talk. That's small talk.
Yeah, that's it. So we got to be much more creative.
And what do you see? So I thought that this is interesting. So that stat that you just dropped of only 17, I wrote 17 to 20%. What's up, Ding? Ding has joined us on LinkedIn as well. If you do not follow Ding on Clubhouse, you are missing out. My man, Ding, freestyle raps your LinkedIn profile. I joined, I think it was like Thursday night or Friday night. I joined his Clubhouse late. I'm telling you, Ding rapped my LinkedIn bio. It was amazing, man. So shout out to Ding.
No, I love it.
Definitely follow him on Clubhouse. So you talked about salespeople are involved in less, right? Just not as much of the process, right? Whether it's because an SDR is involved or customer success is involved or something like that. When you say get creative, you know, and I think a lot about this concept of digital selling experience and these other things as well. What are some of the more creative, and feel free, everyone, too, if you all have some suggestions, some different things. Like, I love crowdsourcing this stuff too. Like, don't just, you know, just because Hannah and I are up here talking, feel free, drop in the chat anything that's working for you or the comments. But Hannah, what does get creative mean to you? Meaning, when you see clients that are doing really well, they're starting to track toward hitting those metrics actually.
Yep.
Is there a theme? And obviously nothing's one size fits all, but is there anything that you're seeing more consistently?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, the entire business has recognized that they are responsible for outbound, right? It's not just like, hey, salespeople, make some calls. Hey, salespeople, send some emails. It's the CEO sitting there and saying, hey, the market's changed. This is our message. This is our strategy. This is who we're going after. And it's like filtering that down through the entire organization. So you've got this like one machine that are all focused in the right direction. So you've got marketing in line, you've got ops, you've got enablement, everybody's driving to in the same direction. So when I'm talking about getting creative, it's ownership and accountability from the top that's rolling down. That's the first thing, rather than
Hannah,
having this kind of,
before you move on though,
yeah,
how that what you just mentioned, I think is one of the biggest hurdles, right?
yeah.
That getting, kind of everyone aligned. It just, it's attitudinally. I mean, this is kind of what I've seen. And I just, before we move on to your next point, I want to just dig in, because I think that there's a lot of people saying like, yeah, but what are some tactical steps? So if someone here is in leadership, or even if they want to help their leadership get out of the way, right? Tactically, how do you see, how do you kind of see that working, or are there maybe one or two like key variables as a part of that? Like, hey, if you can get this right, then that's, okay.
Get your systems aligned and your data accessible. Like the first thing firstly, you should be tracking your data all the time. You need to make sure your systems are talking to each other and track your data. The moment you start to see something slightly fall off, go to sales. They are literally, go right to the SDRs. Guys, what are you seeing? What are people saying? Like these guys are full of knowledge, and sometimes they don't know how to deliver it. But if you ask them good questions, the SDRs will be like, hey, oh yeah. We found out this, we found out that. Like that is a really hands-on tactical thing to do. Track your data. The moment you see something that doesn't trend and falls out of sync, go and understand what's going on there and reach out to the sales team and find out what's going on. And then beyond that, of course, you're digging into the research, right? There's so much research out there. Why are we missing out on these key bits of data points from external sources, right? To bring internally to help create that picture, just to validate what you're seeing. Okay, we see it, but who else is seeing it? Let's validate that. And then you want to start to take action and create that whole picture, right? So this is what we're doing, guys. You've told us this, we found out this, and now this is the action we're going to take.
I love that. And that to me feels actionable, because it also works the flip side, which is, if you're an SDR, let's say you're on a small team, or you're in business development or something on a large team, you can go across the aisle to marketing too. And I'm telling you, most of the time, what I see is it's not I don't want to collaborate with these people. It's that they don't know how. So if you're on the sales side of the fence, you can do the same thing. You can go and set up a meeting with your marketing counterpart and say, hey, I went ahead and pulled this report. It's all, here on like what converted. And here's some feedback on what's worked, what hasn't worked. How can we better collaborate? I'm telling you, most marketers would go, oh, wow, really? Like, do you want to work with me? And on the flip side, marketing, like what you said, Hannah, salespeople are like, wow, like you're actually listening to me. It's kind of like, I look at it as like, it's the same reason why when I get just shocked when sales and product teams aren't giving feedback. It's like, they're the people that are talking to customers. Like you might want to talk to them, as opposed to just building in a lab or based off of like some like, stale customer feedback. So all right. So I derailed you. So we're talking about what makes teams more innovative, or like, what are like the best of the best teams doing? Step one is getting aligned. What was the next big thing?
Yeah, on the salespeople side, and something I just don't see. So particularly when you're in a mid-sized organization, there's two things salespeople need to be doing, particularly now. One, become best friends with your CSMs. Why are you not speaking to the people that speak to your customers every single day? They hear the problems, they hear what they're doing, they hear why they're making decisions, why they're buying, why they're not buying. They literally speak to them every day. That's their job. Speak to them, please. I beg you. I want to see more of that. And then the other side is really, again, in a mid-sized organization, you have most of the people inside your organization who you are trying to sell to externally. Engineering, what? That's your target profile? Go and spend half an hour with your engineering team. Go and sit in their weekly stand-up and go and find out, what are they thinking about? What are they struggling with? The same with marketing, sales. Hey, CEO, what is it that you're worried about right now? What are you worried about inside our organization? How can I, copy paste that message to our target profile? I don't see that. I rarely ever see that when I ask, sales teams, hey, tell me about your outbound. What are you doing to prepare? What's the research you're doing? And it's just like, marketing didn't give me any data. Spent too much time looking for email addresses. Everything bounced. outreach didn't, deliver the cadence. It's like, guys, okay, so what did you do to research and prepare for that? Because if you might have 50%, failed delivery, but 2 messages resonated because you took the time and you actually wrote something that made sense to a CEO or senior decision maker. So I'm like, guys, get more tactical.
Well, you can't. I mean, I feel like this is it. Like, it does feel a little bit like, I see it in sales too. Like, why are you waiting for people to give you and spoon feed you all the information? Like, my friends, if you don't know, I mean, I mean, when I was first a sales leader, I was lucky as where I was trained. It's the first question is, how does this company make money? How does this person get KPI'd or bonused? And if you don't go back to the importance of understanding that, and that sounds so, I don't know, people are like, yeah, okay, sure. Like, I get that. But then you look at the messaging and just, and the techniques, and it's like, we're so far away from that, that we are today. So kind of getting to understand this customer, et cetera. I was telling a story to somebody else the other day. When I started at Career Builder, I literally got a binder that was this thick that had industry trends in it. Manufacturing, retail, consumer packaged goods. So guess what? I'm getting ready to meet with somebody, I'll just look at this thing and then maybe go Google it too. So I feel like you cannot sleep on the importance of really truly to differentiate, because the really sad and shitty part, Hannah, about what we're talking about right now is what we're saying is to differentiate, you have to know your buyer better. It's like, that's always been the truth. Basic, but now the good part is the bar is so low. Most people's outbound is so atrocious that if you just do like the basics or 50% of what you said about research and prep, you're going to stand out.
Yeah. Just, I always say, I'm like, guys, I'm really sorry. I don't have anything groundbreaking for you. Just know what your customers care about. And that will probably you'll be, head and shoulders above the other salesperson that tried to sell to them. And they're like, wow.
Exactly. So, it's like, just execute some of these like fundamentals we're talking about here. And like, that's really all you need to do. So what else? Okay. So we've got this concept. We're going to get our people aligned. When you think about this kind of modern outbound, we have to be aligned across the org, got to be going across the aisle, and anybody can do that. We then have, again, kind of deeper understanding. What else would you add to that? And anything else you'd add from any techniques, any new mediums, or maybe existing mediums you're seeing used in different ways?
So one of the biggest things about this kind of modern outbound thing is it's this move away from it's just your company's brand and it's you as a brand. So at what point, when you've got, you go through the RFP, or you're getting kind of married up your solution to the other, competitive solution, and then it's a case where it's like, oh, okay, so what's that differentiator? Sometimes it's just those really small details. Oh, you know what? Hannah's been speaking about this topic on LinkedIn for the last 3 months. I can also see the company. This is what they do. They talk about this all the time. Oh, wow. She's had interactions, polls, discussions on Clubhouse, just these other things going on. So I always talk about saturating your territory and acting like the CEO is of your desk, right? You come in, this is my target, this is my territory. Cool. What tools do I have at my disposal? No problem. Let me go for it, right? So you spoke about not waiting to be given and, spoon-fed everything. What do you have right now? You've got LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Almost everyone has that, right? At least you have that, right? Get in there. You should be on Sales Nav. You should be highlighting all of the accounts that that are interesting to you, and you should be looking at things that are slightly outside of things you care about. So, okay, you might sell a solution to sales directors or something, and you're like, I don't really know much about this company. But then you see on LinkedIn, oh, wow, they've been hiring loads. They hired throughout COVID. So they're growing. So the sales team's selling, which means they're going to grow the team. You start to like deduce all these things, right? And then you can reposition how you're talking to them. So whilst you didn't know anything about the team and maybe even the director, they're not really on LinkedIn, use this, use information you have outside of that to kind of deduce information and use that to your, to differentiate yourself. And again, I don't see that intuition and creativity very often. It's like, sales director never uses LinkedIn. I can't contact them. Forget it. How am I going to get in contact with them? It's like, guys, let's look at what's happening in and around them.
And I said what I tell people too, Hannah, and I dropped a report. Actually, one of our clients put this thing together, which is pretty awesome. Was just around industries that post, and it was crazy. Software percentage wise, percent of people who label themselves in computer software versus not, it was the 26th most popular industry for percent of people that post. There were some crazy like nonprofit and all kinds of stuff that was ahead of it. The other thing that people don't really understand about my audience isn't on LinkedIn, which is bullshit for at least 75% of you. It's that most people like and comment, and they never post, or they post once a year or once every 3 months where they reshare something from some kudos that happened. And so when you think about where should I be, what you should do is build that list in Sales Navigator. And this is the challenge that I have for anybody. Just build out a list, key job titles, company size, region, whatever you're in. Yeah. And then instead of going and just saying how many posted in the last 90 days, go audit the first 30 and go look at how many of them like or commented in the last few weeks. So what does that tell you? They're on LinkedIn consuming content. Yeah. And that's where, Hannah, I'm a big believer in, and we can go, I think we can go down this rabbit hole now a bit, which is when email, you live in the UK, which already has GDPR. Yeah. Most American sellers don't even know what GDPR is, right? And they're like, thank God. Or if you're in Canada, you've got Castle, which is also a very strict piece of legislation around data and data privacy, and what you can do from a spam standpoint. My challenge is we will have something like this in the US soon. Like, I don't think there's any doubt under the Biden administration, we are going to see some type of email data privacy, because it's the Wild West in the US. We're like, cookies, whatever, no problem. And then we got state by state legislation, right? California's got different legislation than Missouri, et cetera. So why I think what you're saying is even double down important is, my friends, by 2020, maybe next year, maybe later this year, I don't know when it'll happen, but there is going to come a time in the relatively near future, next few years, that our ability to mass send emails to people and our ability to email people without consent may go away. Yeah. And my question to all my sellers out there, what are you going to do? What will you do, sellers? What if I told you, hey, you can't email somebody cold? It won't quite be as dramatic as that, but there'll be parts of it that will be. Your brand is the same thing as it was. And a lot of people, Hannah, when they hear the word brand, they think social media influencer, it's your reputation. Rewind. I did a post this morning about like breaking down Outbound over the last 40 years. And, if we go back 20 years or so ago, you go back 2001, or even let's go back 30 years, 1991. A salesperson's reputation, there was John Smith. He was your, local, insurance guy in Tulsa, Oklahoma. John developed a reputation. Now, granted, he was limited by geography, right? And maybe his industry of the people that he would network with. Now, all of you sell globally, or you sell in a territory where you have the ability to curate the people that you want to be known by. And the future for me, Hannah, is the people that realize this opportunity to build a digital reputation in your space. This isn't about posting sales advice or insights and other salespeople thinking you're cool. That is not how you should be thinking about your career. But if you want to cut through the noise, not just this year, but next year, because guess what? Building a reputation takes time. So if I'm telling you this trend is going to happen, I promise you, go ahead and mark it on your calendars. May 17th, 2021, Jake Dunlap told me, Jake Dunlap said, and we got to make sure we flag this marketing team too, because I want to play this shit in like a year from now. Like, I told you, because I know I'm right about this. Brand and reputation takes time. So you need to start right now. So then in a year from now, you've added the right people to your network. Yeah. Those are the people that you're interacting with. And it's a digital reputation. It's the same way that you wanted to show up and go to, and Hannah, maybe you remember the days, I don't know if the UK version, you'd go to your local Chamber of Commerce event and you'd shake hands with all the people from the Chamber of Commerce. And then you'd get to speak, and talk about your products, and you'd get business cards. And that is LinkedIn every day. And that is the opportunity that I feel like when we think about modern outbound, you need to start to prepare for a world where reputation may be one of them. Right now, it's a factor. And if you get a meeting, I think the future could be, it's a determining factor whether you get a meeting. And it's not your company's reputation only like it used to be. right? Oh, Jake's with Oracle.
Yeah.
Oracle's the best.
Exactly.
We love Oracle. You know,
Yep.
it's like, oh wait, who is this Jake Dunlap person in general? So I'll let you kind of, add some commentary there, but that's my thought, kind of just as to why now. This is why now. There will be rules and laws in place that will make getting through via email and calls harder. Therefore, a reputation can help you with that. It will help people to come inbound as well too. So, all right.
I always say, if you think back, right? If you think back to like the deals that you've done, or and you think about the ones that were most exciting, the ones where you really felt like, you know what, I'm not even selling anymore. I'm not selling at all. Like, I'm just helping them make decisions. I'm helping them challenge their internal teams to take action. Like, you were helping them. You were helping, mobilize people inside the organization. They were coming to you like, hey, this person just come back with this question. What do I say? What do I do? You constructing the email, sending it back, sending them voice notes, whatever it is. Like, that needs to be what we're doing moving forward. Like that needs to be what we're doing moving forward. So let's keep helping. Let's get better at helping people to take action, to motivate them to get things done. So rather than sending out 100 emails, why don't you spend the time you would spend trying to research all those companies, find those job titles, get that list that Jake spoke about, and why don't you host a webinar? Why don't you and your team get together and just host a webinar? No selling. Get other peers in the industry, their peers, and say, hey guys, we just ask us anything about a particular topic. Oh, okay. So you want sales enablement technology? Yeah. Great. Let's talk about a parallel discussion, maybe the impact of, or how your business operates without it, or whatever the topic is. You can do that. Host a webinar, another Zoom. Why not? Let's get it in there. But you're basically bringing together. You're bringing together people who may not in a different environment, something a bit different to what they used to do. And people cannot tell me it hasn't been done. I'm not sure if you guys have seen Power to the Procurement People, right? It's a club on Clubhouse started by Madison Mobley, right? I'm a co-admin. There's like 6,000 members of procurement people, and it's 2 salespeople that host that. And I used to go on Slack and all the communities and say, guys, hey, we're doing a chat this week about buying tech, procurement people buying technology. Come and join the chat. Oh no, I prefer to sit with my sales mates and talk to them. I'm like, guys, they're literally on Clubhouse saying, we're about to buy tech. Hey, I'm the head of procurement at the biggest, retail company in Europe. Hey, this is what I'm looking for. And we're like, no, we're just going to stay on Slack and talk about cold calling. Guys, we're trying to create much better synergies between salespeople and buyers. And buyers are holding their hand up saying, I'm happy to join your club as a salesperson every day, every week. And you're like, I'm not going to join that chat. So if we're not getting in front of the people that care, that we care about, then we're going to be in the same position in a year's time when we can't email and thinking, oh, damn, as Jake said, let's try and build our brand. All right, what did Jake say a year ago? LinkedIn. All right, let me post something. Okay, let me add people. Like, come on, guys. Like, it's out there. There's loads of channels. We're in these nice, soft, informal environments, right? I know, Paul, you mentioned Clubhouse. Yeah, focus on it. Definitely dig into it. I know it's going, people it's wavering a bit, right? We waited for Android launched, and people are like, do I want to be on it anymore? But it's all about being intentional, right? Be intentional, create discussions, promote it with other people, get, people that are not in the same role as you, right? Create that. Skaled do regular ones. Mackenzie does awesome ones, right? With LinkedIn, getting different people into that discussion to keep sharing insights. People want free information and they don't want to have to talk to you. They just want to consume. Give it to them.
That was great. People don't want to talk to you. They just want to consume. And again, I don't know if you said last week, I did a post. The people did not like it. Well, there was a mix. It got. I mean, it's had like well over like 100,000 views and like a few thousand, like 1,000 something, maybe more interactions. And it was like, sales is not relationship building in 2021. And yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You commented, and it's interesting. And about how we define. I think maybe if I said it again, I would say like our stereotypical versions of relationship building, because I think what you said is interesting, which is the salesperson as the content producer in someone's space, because people like to consume, not always to interact. And that, to me, I think for any of you listening, is the punchline that you're not doing this for fame. You're not doing this to slack off on social media. And I'm sorry that it's in a lot of this, Hannah, I blame sales and marketing leaders that we've over created this idea, because you talked about data in the very beginning.
Yeah.
But we've also become obsessed with, if we can't track the ROI in some type of one-to-one or fairly direct attribution, that therefore it's a worthless activity. I remember saying this to my teams, like, if it's not in Salesforce, it doesn't exist. Yeah. Right. And I look at that advice now and I'm like, well, that actually wasn't bad advice whenever most of your activity was one-to-one attribution, right? Like, I was calling with a call to action 100, like that was all I was doing. But now I think we've got to kind of adjust and start to look at these kind of early outcomes. And I feel like the more teams that start to move away, I wrote about this in my post. What happened is, we used to track your face-to-face meetings, and then we got phone, and we started to track all your phone calls. And it's only, maybe Hannah, you can say, it's only the last 6 or 7 years I've seen where people have moved from just tracking calls to tracking activities. Right. In general, like you were tracking calls up until like 20. So we're talking 6 years ago. So it's not that long. Like, and now I think what we're saying is like, look, activities, like track outcomes, track like meaningful conversation or something like that, where I'm incentivized as a rep to do some of the things that we're talking about now, because I'm all about having meaningful conversations. McKinsey has easily closed. You talked about Clubhouse, and we'll spend like maybe 5 minutes on Clubhouse now.
Yeah, definitely.
McKinsey has easily closed $30,000+ in business from Clubhouse, easily, and influenced probably another 100, right? In both scale deals and digital presence deals. And so, we'll come back to kind of LinkedIn. So we're talking about these modern strategies. Okay, these modern strategies. What are people doing to cut through? One of the things that Hannah brought up is do your own Zoom. Why not? What are you waiting for? You know how easy it is to do a Zoom? You know how easy it is to say like, hey, I'm talking to all people in Illinois who are interested in petrochemical insulation services to talk about the future of insulation services in oil and gas in 2022. And then all you're going to do is break down some Harvard Business Review article. Yeah. Boom.
That nobody has time to consume anyway.
all they do is they're going to want to go through, but guess what? Now I can use that as a webinar. I said, hey, Hannah, I know you missed my webinar on this topic. Here's like a quick, if you fast forward to minute 1:24 seconds, I think there's 2 or 3 insights you're going to enjoy. Let me know if that resonates, and then we can set some time up to meet next Thursday.
Yep.
I want to meet with that person. Another thing, I'm just going to give a quick hack before we jump into Clubhouse. Write an article on LinkedIn. Right. There's an SDR that I've interacted with a bunch. This guy, Lior, I can't remember his last name off the top of my head, Lior. And he just kept every like 3 to 4 weeks, he writes a new article on LinkedIn and gets 25 likes and 40 likes on it. And then what does he do? He goes and uses the article. Hey, I put together this article on best practices on this topic that I know you care about. Let me know what your thoughts are. He's not out there. He could probably get 200 likes if he posted about sales advice. But this guy gets it. He's like, I'm trying to sell. I think he sells to communications professionals, something like that. And what can you do? I think these are 2 very tactical pieces of advice Hannah and I are giving you right now. Go put on your own webinar.
Yep.
Go host your own LinkedIn Live. Everyone's going to have creator mode soon. Any of you can do what I'm doing right now and host a LinkedIn Live. It doesn't matter how many people show up. It doesn't matter. Same thing, you post an article. It doesn't matter how many likes you get, right? Over time, you'll figure out how to write more effectively. Over time, you'll figure out how to do Zooms more effectively, right? And that's okay. It's a learning experience, but start now. That again, just think about those 2 things. You could easily go and do that. And instead of sitting on your butt and waiting for marketing to feed you the next thing, just go make it. Just go make it. All right, Clubhouse. Where do you think Clubhouse fits in, Hannah? What are your thoughts on Clubhouse? And let's take this from the point of a seller. Okay, I'm an account executive. I'm 26, 27 years old. Okay. Hell, let's say I'm 32 years old, 33 years old. Okay. I'm an account executive. Hannah, I've got calls to make. I've got buyers to follow up with. What can I maybe talk about the advantages you see to Clubhouse holistically? And then maybe again, same question before, kind of tactically, a couple of things that you think people can do.
So the first part about Clubhouse holistically, Clubhouse is the quickest way for somebody to get to know you. Like they hear your tonality, they feel your energy, depending on, maybe they like someone who's quite monotone, you're monotone. Maybe they like high energy, you're high energy. But you are going to attract the people that are attracted to you, whatever it is you're giving out, the way your approach. I think Jake, you and I met on Clubhouse the end of last year.
Right.
Jumped into one of my rooms. It was called
Exactly
Stop Firing
right.
Salespeople.
And I saw your profile, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, you do sales consulting. We need sales consultants. Let's hang out. Let's talk.
That's exactly that. Yeah, exactly what happened. And there would have been, I think I might have tried to, I sent you a LinkedIn request maybe about 9 months beforehand, which fell into the LinkedIn request of the extra 900 people that you probably got in your inbox. But that cut through all of the noise. And it was like 20 seconds. I was like, oh, the room's shutting down. Go on LinkedIn, connect. And you're like, oh, check. And you're like, oh, cool. Makes sense. Perfect. And within like 2 minutes, we had a Zoom call set up, right? And we had a chat.
Yep.
That is the difference between trying to figure things out and trying to send an email when, oh no, you've used a word that somebody doesn't like. Or I know people who are on the buyer side that are like, anybody who sends me anything and I can just sense it's automated, I immediately blacklist them. It could be good. They're like, I don't care. Or I'm a stickler for grammar. If I see one apostrophe out of place, I'm like, oh, I don't want to work with you. Guys, don't let yourself fall victim to that. Like get in Clubhouse, cut through the noise and give people an opportunity to learn about you. Outside of, building relationships with Jake, I've had somebody who just keeps passing me leads. She's just like, I love your energy. I work with companies as a consultant. Here, go and speak to this company. Never spoken to her before. And that was me talking about barbecuing chicken in my garden. I weren't even talking about sales. She liked my energy. We kept talking. So these things happen in ways that you can't get elsewhere. So to the point, you're an account manager, you've got lots of accounts. You wake up in the morning on Monday, you had a plan, but now you've got 60 emails. So this is an example of one of the reps that I manage, right? He's like, I woke up, Monday, I just had so many emails in my inbox, 60. And I was like, oh yeah. I lost my time. I wanted to be more proactive. I can't. All right, what are the key themes that you're noticing inside your existing customer base? People keep asking about uptime or how to manage this, how to manage that. Great, that's a Clubhouse topic. Guess what? In 3 weeks, guys, I'm going to be talking about how you can do X, Y, and Z. Here's a Clubhouse link. Join it. I'm going to stream it on Zoom as well if you prefer Zoom. And we're going to talk about this, and this. Even better, I'm going to partner up with a consultant outside of my business who researches this often, who's going to also provide insights. Okay, so next Monday, 20 emails rather than 60 or 5 and a new customer because somebody else joined in the conversation on Clubhouse. So let's use it in a different way.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I mean, get in, and again, but you won't get the business value unless you produce some content, right? Or you just chat or jump on stage. What I started doing early on, I would see a room, Hannah, I wouldn't even pay it. As soon as I saw it, if it looked remotely like something I might know. Yeah. And then if I realized I didn't know, it was even better because then I'd ask questions. I would just immediately go into a room and raise my hand. Like just immediately, within 5 seconds. It just to start to flex that muscle of getting comfortable. And then the funny part is half the time I would ask a question. It was like, I remember I was having some questions around like hiring a COO or a director of operations or not. So I joined this room called like COOs, and it's a director of COO from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Nobody else is raising their hand. I got to quiz this guy for like 25 minutes on compensation and what should I do. And so when you think about Clubhouse, at least for me, I love Clubhouse on both the consumer side and on the value side. I mean, I feel bad. I feel like I'm definitely not as active as I used to be. Because it's so addictive. Oh my gosh, Hannah. I mean, it really is. It's like I'd just be up here in my office and I'm like cooking dinner while I'm on Clubhouse, just like interacting and talking. But it's a land grab right now. And so for all of you out there, like again, like Hannah and Madison started that Power to the Procurement People. Let's say again, you sell into oil and gas Q&A, Wednesday Q&A. Whatever it is. I don't know, whatever it is you want to start the topic on. It's a land grab right now. And so I think for a lot of you, this could be really, really important. So yeah. So that's kind of Clubhouse. Again, for a lot of you, go in, you got to put in a little work.
Yeah.
That's my only kind of feedback for folks is like, if you don't put in a little bit of work, you're not going to see the results that you want. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'd also add just to that, Jay, because it's guys, I appreciate we like to, group up and have a chin wag. But stop following your friends, guy. Like, they're not buying from you. Like, your sales peers are not going to buy from you. Lean into them to get advice, insights like you're sharing with us right now, and then take that. Go speak to non-sales people, the people that can actually spend money with you or learn from you, and help you to build up that brand, right? And that brand equity. If we're spending you say I'm going to spend an hour on Clubhouse tomorrow, and it's just in sales rooms, you're missing out. You're really missing out. There's so many other wider conversations going on.
All right. So the topic at hand, is modern outbound techniques, or what's working, what's not working. I think we've covered a mix of both strategy and tactical. If you want, what we'll do too is we'll drop in, we developed this modern outbound playbook. We've got one from November and one from December, or from last month, that we'll drop in the chat too. So go take a look. There's some really cool plays in there too. So go take a look. I think it's one of our better pieces of content we put out in the last year. Hannah, what about video? Yeah, I think video is one I get a lot of questions about, and maybe I'll toss in like LinkedIn voicemails into the mix too.
Yep.
How are teams you're seeing leveraging video effectively?
Oh man, I love video. Literally, that's my favorite thing to do. My biggest phrase that I use regarding video is it's forgiving. You can stutter, doesn't matter. Like, you are in your truest authentic form on video. you can't lie. And when you are a bit like wooden, that comes across too. So one of the best ways that I've seen it being used is throughout the entire sales engagement, and even from before you try to start selling to people. So just warming people up. So as an example, and again, not always trackable, but guys, don't always think about that. Go and send a video on the native LinkedIn app, because it's the most frictionless way to actually send a video on LinkedIn. So it doesn't open up into any other browser. You do it on your phone really quickly, film it, say, hey, I'm really honored to have you, really honored to have connected with you. Glad to have you in my network. Not sure if you had an opportunity to check my profile, but I do this. Give me a shout. That's it. Under 45 seconds, say no more. They're waiting for the pitch, and they're like, you haven't pitched to me? What's going on?
Oh my gosh. God forbid you slow played it. You slow played it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
you didn't pitch, right? Like, oh my gosh, you just built up a little bit of like, oh wow, like this person actually does add value.
Yep. I've sent a video to somebody. So somebody said, I don't know what I posted. It was an update actually on a new client contract. I posted something like that. They said, congratulations. I said, thank you. And then I sent them a video, because after they responded to me, I checked their profile out.
Yeah, you did a little look.
Yeah. And I do this all the time. I film myself with my phone and I scroll through their profile. And I'm like, thank you for that. I just scrolling through your profile. I can see, oh my God, you started your own business too. Awesome. Actually, that's my ideal profile. So I had no intention of engaging her in that way, but she's congratulated me. She's seen what I do. I've now gone on her profile. I'm filtering through, and we actually set up a call, right? And that was an opportunity for me, but that wasn't something that I was proactively out there trying to sell to her. It just made sense in that way. And also just sending a video about just anything related to them. Hey, happy birthday. Guys, that could be the only happy birthday someone receives. It may sound ridiculous, but trust me, I've had people say, you know what, thank you so much. We've never spoken, but that meant so much to me. We're in a time where, people, you need to be extra empathetic. You don't know if you're contacting someone that may have experienced a loss. You just don't know what's going on. People might have jobs still listed on LinkedIn and they've lost them, and there's a lot going on. So that video, that kind of compassion, that authenticity, you being a natural human, it warms to a lot of people, much more than, hey, keyboard warrior, here's my pitch, bye, calendar link. It's like, here we go. So video, leverage it, be authentic, use it as much as you can. I see people doing it at the beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, or yeah, like you said, it's like it's their. I feel like maybe people view video too like, I'm putting forth all this effort, and now because I put forth this effort, I need to make it a call to action, or I need to make it, something it's not. And I think to your point, it's just a better version of other types of communication. Like, it's just a way that, again, I can express some of the nuances, whether it's with a hand gesture or something to show authenticity. And for a lot of people, they get so hung up on, you know, the quality of the video, et cetera. Well, the reality is, look, you think about the videos you consume online. What's the quality of those videos? Like from a production standpoint, it's not super high. And if you now whenever you start to scroll through TikTok or whatever, look, you'll see or hear people stutter like I just did, right? You'll hear people do other things. Yep. It's all good. Stop getting hung up on it. So video, you're a big fan. I love that idea. I'll tell you another really great use case for video is people gone dark. So when people go dark on you and they just stop following up, you know, to say, oh, hey, apologies, I've been out for the last couple of weeks. I wanted to send you this video so you know, like these are the next 2 steps. I'm going to send you an email too, but really looking forward to it later. We did for one of our clients, we did this and he did that on WhatsApp and got a response in like literally said 45 minutes from somebody who hadn't followed up with him in 2 weeks. Yep. And so that concept of whenever people ghost you or they go away or they stop responding, I love video for that use case.
Oh, definitely. You mentioned something about WhatsApp. And this is kind of sidestepping it, but I think it's important to mention. I don't know why we do this, but I don't know why we don't do this, but a lot of us as salespeople do not ask our prospects, hey, how do you like to communicate? Like some people are literally like, you will never catch me unless you WhatsApp me. And I've had that. Just here's my number, just WhatsApp me. And I'm like, oh, even better. And just make sure you don't put a really dodgy status update on WhatsApp, or at least block them, because that's a bit awkward. But like use the channels that they care about. If you've sent a video and they responded in that way, perfect. Video's your thing. If they like a lot of detail's your thing. Like just learn the way they like to communicate. I found out that one of my prospects he's like, I'm in the car between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. I was like, well, it's an early start for me. That's the only time I can catch him. That's what it's going to be. And that's when I caught him. And that's when we had updates. So learn how people like to communicate and use it. If it's video, use video.
Yeah. Okay. What else? So we got video.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
So you mentioned briefly audio notes, right?
Yeah.
Again, so they can be, you can get tech to do that, but you can also send them through Messenger on iPhones or the equivalent on Android, whatever that is. Haven't used one of those in a while. Or you can do that on LinkedIn as well. So send a voice note, giving an update, or send a voice note directing them to another piece of communication. Maybe it's an email. Hey, I can see you online on LinkedIn. Just a quick voice note. I sent you an email at 2 p.m. If you can quickly check that, it's got the next steps that you asked for, whatever. As somebody who's now a business owner, I cannot believe how many emails you can miss because people are literally dumping crap into your inbox every day from like cold outbound stuff. So guys, sometimes people do genuinely miss your emails. Prompt them, use quicker pieces of tech like voice notes. You just say, hey, or voicemails, hey, go back to that email at this time. You make their life much easier. I appreciate it when salespeople chase me because it's easy to miss.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's okay. And again, it's about pattern disruption, right? Like pattern disruption around the normal day to day. Again, if you're sending video, what percentage of people do you think send video, Hannah? What percent? Guess.
I'd say in sales, like I still think it's like under 10%. I just think
that's what I would have guessed too. I was gonna say maybe even under 5%. Like I just feel like it's such an easy way to just stand out. There's a woman I talked to at Adobe. She's like, you know what? She goes, I just send 30 videos every day, and that's kind of it. She's like, that's all I do. She's like, that's all I do. I send 30 videos, and that's all I do. You know. So this is interesting. So Patrick has a question here, and then I think we'll wrap up with some closing thoughts after this. I think this is a good way to go out. It says, is there a way to build brand to aid in outbound without having to be the face? I have zero desire to be known, but I do have a desire to grow and build, right? All right. So can you have one without the other? So this is a great, by the way, Patrick, this is a great question. I guarantee there's a lot of people sitting here going like, oh my God, like, yeah, this all sounds great, but like, shit, this sounds like a lot, or like, I don't know if that's what I want to do.
Bank scene of sales. So the biggest thing that you pointed out as well, Jake, is it's all about, you said you need to be able to produce content, right? I think, so, I mean, for instance, if you're sharing stuff on LinkedIn, you still kind of have to be somewhat visible. You can create environments online, right? Go and buy a domain for 99 cents. Go and create a domain that just has content based on your persona that you're interested in. When you're doing outbound, just post everything on there and direct them there. track it through GA, which is free in most cases. Like there's things that you can do, but it needs to be content driven. There needs to be something tangible that people can take and consume without you. So I always talk like asynchronously. You don't have to engage with me. You can just kind of give them something. They take it away. And if they're interested, they come back. Or you now have a reason to go back to them and say, hey, because you'll be tracking it. Oh, I can see you clicked on the link and you've got a list of everybody that's done that. And then go back to them at a later date. Remember, we're not just prospecting for this quarter. You're going to have people come to you 6 months later because you sent them a video or a piece of content and say, hey, I've finally seen it. This was really useful. Actually, I do want to have a chat. I had someone respond to me 19 months after prospecting. I definitely left the company, but it was a great lead for the person who took over from me in my role. So think long term and think outside of the box, Patrick, if you can, where if you don't want to show your face, etc., point them to somewhere that is all you still.
Yeah, I think that's it. I would say, Patrick, so the answer, I'm just going to give it to you. The answer is no. Patrick, you can't have a digital reputation and not be the face of it. Yeah,
they're going to know who you are.
I mean, again, unless you're going to go all in, right? And then you're like, you just have an alter ego and it's like, it's Kevin, right? And Kevin doesn't give a fuck. Kevin does whatever, and like it's some corporate bro type scenario, right? Like, but what I do think you can do though, is exactly what Hannah said, is pick a medium that feels comfortable and just worry about being great at that. Maybe video is like, absolutely not, but written could be easier for you. Great. Like I said, write an article, use that as your hook, right? Be the person who posts every day on LinkedIn, one new trend and whatever it is. So I think the answer is no. If you are the person that people want to interact with, you can't escape it. But what I do think you can do is find a medium that I do think you can find a medium, and a medium that is authentic for you and easier for you to produce, if Clubhouse or video or some other stuff isn't. So that's my hot take on it. And I think that's for a lot of folks. So, all right. Always using a storyboard first. There you go. Thank you, Bryant. I appreciate you sharing that. Bryant just shared a quick little storyboard template. I love that. Patrick, I hope that helps. I'll go ahead and copy and paste that into LinkedIn as well too, for all the folks over there. So you can take a look at what Brian just dropped in there. So cool. So Hannah, this is amazing. Summary, final thoughts. What would you lead people with if you said, look, modern outbound is happening. What do I need to start to do now? Or what tactically could I do that would move the needle for me tomorrow?
So at high level, macro level, guys, plan. Why doesn't anybody do territory plans anymore? What the hell's going on? Like, own your entire territory, plan, research, understand the exact account you're going to go after, why, existing relationship with them, what's going on in their industry, what's going on at a micro level, do all of those things. Like I used to do that, and I'd say I'm going to sell to hopefully 20%, and I just do that. I'd sell to 20% of the companies I plan to sell to in that year because I've done so much research up front. Do that, and then take it down to a tactical level and be intuitive. You call up to speak to a decision maker. Don't have the information. Great. Where can I find them? Are they available? No. Okay, great. Let me send them an email. Okay, let me do a voicemail. It doesn't have to be so prescriptive. Just use, like, I think when we get to business context, we like detach ourselves and just taking really common sense approaches to things. If you go to a shop to get something and it's not there, what do? You go to another shop. Guess what? I'm going to try and get it over there. Let's do the same thing with sales. Let's use our intuition when we're not getting what we want to just try something new really quickly and on the fly. So macro, plan, tactical, be much more intuitive with how you're approaching the sales process.
I'm not even going to add anything. I think that those are two, some of the most spot on tactical advice for anybody. It doesn't matter if it's outbound or anything in your life. It's that concept of putting together a plan. So, because when you have a plan and you track what happens, you can then see how to make your plans better. If you're constantly just feeling through and not doing anything or having a plan, things move slower. And they never see the results that you want them to see. So Hannah, I want to say a big thank you to you for stopping by Jake and Friends and talking through. We're going to drop, a lot of this came out of, we just dropped week before, our 0 to 20 playbook. So if you're working at a company that's doing between 0 to 20 million, or even if you're just a rep or a leader who's looking to upskill, Becca's going to drop the link in there for you to go take a quick look. It's going to be a dynamic piece of content. We're starting to produce more pieces of content that are living and breathing versus, it's like, it's kind of silly, Hannah, right? Like you produce one ebook and then you have someone download another, like, why not just make it living and breathing? And so we're going to be doing a lot more of that coming up here. So I'm excited, very excited for that. So again, check out the 0 to 20 playbook. Again, I think it's one of our, in my very subtle opinion, one of the best ones. Also next week, as Becca said, we're going to be talking about account segmentation and territory planning. So it's like, Hannah, you literally like just teed this up. So maybe we'll have to maybe you can make a cameo. Maybe you can just like jump in and yeah, just hop in. We'll add you and just like, I have a question. So that's what's up. So thanks everybody. Make sure go take a look at those resources. Hannah, thank you again. What I loved about what you said is there's a mix of kind of strategy and foundation and infrastructure, also with some new ideas around video throughout the process, Clubhouse, being a rep and doing your own Zoom video. Hannah, I've got to be honest, I've never heard anyone say that before. It seems so, now I'm like that, duh, like, yeah, of course you should do that. but I just think that there's so much great strategic and tactical. So I really appreciate it.
No, guys, download that resource. I can't believe it's free. I consumed absolutely all of it in one evening, the day you guys released it. It's awesome.
I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that. The team did a lot of hard work on it. And Hannah, thank you again for your time. Everybody, we will see you next week. Territory planning and segmentation. Thanks again, Hannah. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your week.
See ya.